Okay, maybe we can get started. So again, thanks everyone for joining this webinar. And we are going to record this webinar. So if you miss something during this, or if you find some things are unclear, you can always go back through this webinar and you can revise your concepts. So we'll be sharing the recording with everyone at max by tomorrow evening, and then you can watch everything again. So today's webinar will be titled DSA for all engineers. And we are going to cover several things today, including essentially these 4 points. So first, why DSA? Why we are even having this webinar in the first place, and our own stories with respect to DSA. Then we will talk a bit about what exactly is DSA and why you should study about it. Then the applications of DSA. And then finally, we'll talk about very practical considerations such as if you are a beginner in DSA, what exactly should you study? Where should you get the material from? Can you have a roadmap or timeline for yourself to study so that you can equip or prepare yourself for the interviews? So before we actually get started, I want to share one form with all of you so that we can get a bit of knowledge about your expertise with DSA in the first place so that we can tailor the webinar accordingly. So I'm just going to put this link in the chat. Can you answer this quickly so that it will help us as we proceed with the rest? So I think when I come to slide number 10 or 11, I'll be going back to this form again and I'll be checking the responses from everyone. So please, if you can fill this form in the meanwhile, that will be very helpful for us for the rest of the webinar. It will take only 2 minutes. Also, please make this session interactive by asking questions in the chat. We'll be very happy to answer any questions which you might be having throughout the session. So let's get started, everyone. So one thing before we get started is that why we are even having this lecture or session in the first place. What is the need for this session right now? The main need is that right now, the most lucrative jobs or the most important jobs which are available in the history of jobs, like in the job market, if you see, are machine learning engineer, machine learning researcher, data scientist, and software developer. So if you belong to any field and if you want to transition to ML, if you want to transition to data scientist, or if you want a software development position, there is usually one interview which stands in your way. And that interview is data structures and algorithms, which is the DSA interview. And unless you clear this interview, you cannot move to the next rounds in many of these. And that is why this webinar becomes so important. And so if you look at these roles, many might be overlapping, and many of these roles actually would not even need DSA when you get the job. But the problem is that to get the job, you need to clear that DSA round. And that is why we are having this webinar. And especially this webinar is designed so that it is applicable to all engineers. So let me actually see how many of you filled the form. Great. So 58 responses already. So let me actually start seeing your fields. So I can see that people are a mix of working professionals and students. And regarding the fields, we can see biomedical, computer, electrical engineers, mechanical, software engineers. There are people from a wide range of fields, right? Now, irrespective of the field which you belong to, okay, this is a better interface. So CS, electrical, mechanical, CS, aerospace, AI, data analyst, mathematics, chemical, biomedical, mechanical, physics, electronics, communication, mechanical. Irrespective of the field which you belong to, if you want to transition to these jobs, the DSA round stands in your way. And if you belong to any field, which whether it's CS or whether it's not CS, this round can be scary, particularly because you might have heard about lead code. Can people type in the chat if they have heard about lead code or if they have solved any questions in lead code before? Yeah, right. Almost all of us have heard about lead code at this moment. It has become this big thing that if you solve lead code questions, you will crack the DSA interviews. But the lead code questions themselves are so large in number that we don't know where to start, especially for students who are not belonging to CS background. The it's even harder because you have this insecurity that, oh, I am not in CS, so how can I transition to DSA? And I can relate to that because I was a mechanical engineer, and I'll soon tell you about my interview experience with Meta. which I gave during my PhD. So in this webinar, this is meant for all engineers, whether CS or not CS, to give you a roadmap to study DSA so that you can crack these positions. So we want to make it such that these positions don't seem as hard or as difficult. Now that we have been through the process, no matter which engineering field you belong to, you can successfully transition to these positions. We conducted an ML webinar last time, but just having ML knowledge is not enough. If you don't clear the DSA round, you will never get a chance to display your ML knowledge. To illustrate this, let us consider this example. Imagine that there are two candidates sitting for an interview, right? Candidate number and the first, let me give you the interview rounds overview. Let's say software development role, it will first have the DSA round and it will have the coding round. Then the ML or AI role, it will also have the DSA round and then it will have the coding round. Now let me give you two scenarios. First, let us look at candidate number A. This candidate is such that they are unable to solve either of the DSA problems. So let's say the interviewer has asked you one DSA question, and if you are unable to solve it, that's the first situation. But they answer the questions related to ML concepts accurately. So let's say if you are interviewing for ML engineer position and you are very strong at ML, but you are unable to solve the DSA problems. That's the situation for candidate number one. Now, consider another candidate who is candidate number two. For this candidate, they are able to solve both the DSA problems, and with the ML, they miss some answers. So they answer many things, but let's say they get 70% right or 75% right, right? Now, one thing which I want to ask you, if you are a hiring manager, or forget about that, what do you think which candidate should be hired? Can you just put it in the chat? So people have mentioned second B, then Saurabh has mentioned candidate one, Viraj has mentioned candidate one. So I can actually see, I would say maybe 70 to 80% of the people in this call are saying candidate two should be hired. And I would say about very less fraction, 10 to 15% might think that candidate one should be hired. Now, the reality in the job market is that if there are two candidates like these, even though the position is for a ML role, even though the position tests machine learning understanding, what actually happens is that since candidate A could not answer the DSA problems, they are not selected. And we will see why that is the case. So you might be thinking, oh, I've studied ML so much, I know the concept. So then why am I rejected because of DSA? This is the harsh reality which is happening in all of the jobs right now. I know it is a bit weird and it does not make too much sense that they should test both of these things equally. But this is exactly what happens with me. And I'll tell you my story actually in a moment. In reality, candidate B is actually hired. That is just how the job market works. So whatever field you belong to, if you want to crack ML roles, if you want to crack AI roles or software development engineer roles, you need to have DSA background. You need to be able to solve DSA questions so that you can at least proceed to the ML round, so that you will clear the DSA filter. Now let us look at some reasons for rejection, and this is how these rejections are justified. First is that when you solve a DSA question, it tests your problem solving ability. So let's say the DSA question is sorting of an array, let's say, or finding the shortest distance between 2 points on a graph, whatever it might be. It, if you cannot answer the DSA question, number one, you show a lack of problem solving abilities. So in real life, the interviewer might think that you are not equipped to solve the problem. Second thing, you lack the knowledge itself, that okay, what are the different algorithms which are used to solve this particular problem. If you don't know this, it says that you lack comprehensive knowledge. Third is learning potential, which basically means that if you cannot even do a DSA problem, then how can you work in a company for serious ML problems? And then finally, risk in job performance. This is quite important because the interviewer does not want to hire someone who is not able to solve difficult problems, or who is not able to solve difficult, challenging problems. At the end of the day, the whole aim is, the company has partnered with clients, right? The client has a problem and you are expected to solve that problem. So if you are not able to do the DSA question in front of the interviewer, the signal which you are giving to the interviewer is that, hey, I'm not able to solve this problem. And that's why, although your ML knowledge is good, you would be rejected. It is just how it would happen in real life. So now, actually, I just want to test a bit of the understanding of DSA. I know many of the people in this call are beginners, and that's completely fine. So I'm just going to share a link in the chat, and I just want to see first of all whether this link is opening, because sometimes there is some issue. So this is a poll. Can you just check this? Can you click on this link and can you see whether it is opening? Yeah, you can click on enter the poll. You can choose your name and you can see the question number one, which is appearing. I think so. Which question are you seeing right now? Which data structure is used to keep track? So as you guys are answering, I can see the answer. So I really encourage everyone to answer over here. It is very important. As Shridat is saying, it is working. For Rajat also, it is working. So please answer. uh, it will be an interactive activity, and I'll also get to know a bit about how much of data structures do you really understand. So you can see that the answers are fluctuating. We can see the answer on the right side of your screen. Okay. uh, okay, so maybe I should have uh, blurred this portion of the screen, but it's fine. We can see that there is like a competition between a stack and the linked list, and about 58% of the people have answered stack, 38% have answered linked list, 3.5% have answered tree, and about 4.4% have answered graph. Now this is a simple example which actually shows where data structures are used. So many companies want to keep a track, right, of the history of visited websites, how many people are coming, etc. And we want to see which of these is actually the data structure which is typically used. Now let me reveal the answer, and I will click on reveal here right now. And we can see that the correct answer is actually stack, and a green tick was appearing over there. So it's kind of many people probably saw that, but it's fine. The correct answer is stack here right now. And we can see who is first right now here. Okay, so we can see that there is a tie for a huge number of positions. Many of you got it right. 59 people right now have got it right, and they are at the number one position. We have 4 poll questions scattered throughout this webinar. So whoever is charming owl, it's good. You probably did it the quickest. That's why you're number one. But let's see. There are 4 questions, so you have a chance to be at the top. So this was poll number one, and generally it seems that people kind of know the difference, but it's fine. We are assuming that you are complete beginners over here. So the workshop is tailored accordingly. Okay, now let me tell you a bit about my story. And I cover this in many webinars through an ML angle, but today I'll cover it through a DSA angle. So in the middle of my PhD, what happened with me was that I was a mechanical engineer, right? And I wanted to be a professor in mechanical engineering. That was my dream when I joined MIT for a PhD. After 2 years, I went to a career job fair, and there I saw that the number of jobs in mechanical engineering were decreasing so fast that I completely lost interest in mechanical. And I felt kind of insecure that so many other people are switching to ML, so I'm getting left behind. So then what I did is I built my profile through scientific machine learning. That is a topic for whole another webinar. But I joined this new group and I built my profile in ML. That was awesome, right? I had a research publication. Up till now, it's very good. And many companies starting reaching out to me because of my profile. Now, one such company which reached out to me through LinkedIn was Meta. At that time, it was still Facebook, but and I was so happy that this company has reached out to me. I never thought being a mechanical engineer, I would work as a software developer at Meta. So the role they were offering to me was machine learning engineer. I told them that I'm not probably equipped for software. So they told me, why don't you interview for the ML engineer position? Up till now, things were going great. And I was thinking, wow, I'm very confident in ML because I know the concepts, I know the theories. But then they said one thing which really scared me. They told me that before the ML round, the first round would be live coding DSA round. Now, when I heard about this, I was first of all extremely scared because the problem is that I never thought that for an ML engineer position, I would be asked DSA questions. I had never taken a computer science course before. I did not know the foundations of data structures and algorithms. And essentially, I had 1 month to prepare for the DSA round, which they were offering me at Meta. And I knew that if I clear this round, I'm going to get a job at Meta because I was confident with the ML parts. So I studied very hard for 1 month and I did not know at all what to do. I talked to some seniors, I got a few resources, I solved a few lead code problems. We'll cover the list of resources later, but at that time I was quite confused and I don't think my preparation was very good. So what happened was that on the day of the interview, the first round which happened, I cleared it because luckily the question which they asked me turned out to be from lead code. That was cleared. Then I came to the second round and it was live coding. So a person was sitting in front of me. And that is, first of all, very scary because I'm not a competitive programmer. I've never done competitive programming before. I just know logic and I can write basic code. So what happened in my second interview was that I could not clear it because uh, the problem I just couldn't solve. It was too difficult for me. So I got stuck. The interviewer helped me. They are very friendly, but I knew that I'm not going to clear this. So I got an email from Meta saying that you have done good in one round and you have not done good in one round. So we are going to have a third round, which will decide whether you will go to the next round or not. So then they had like a tiebreaker round. And in that round, unfortunately, I again could not solve the problem. And that's why I was ultimately rejected at Meta. So this was my experience, and I felt extremely disappointed and sad that day because I could not even get to display my machine learning skills. The job was ML engineer, but no one asked me any ML question. They just rejected me because of my lack of DSA experience. And that's when it hit me for the first time that to actually interview for such big companies, even though you have transitioned to ML, you need to have DSA knowledge. You need to be able to solve DSA questions. And this really, then after that, my career path completely changed. So I did not need to do DSA again. But for all of you who want an ML engineer position, you can definitely get the ML part. You can transition to ML. And we have conducted webinars on that before. But the main thing is you also need DSA experience, as I myself have experienced the hard way. So if you just want to have an analogy, you need some skills, right? So for example, the DA for cracking DSA questions, the skills could be finding the pattern in a problem, then knowing how to solve the problem. And third thing is writing efficient code. Let's say these are the three skills, but to develop these three skills, you need to work very hard. That's extremely important. Just like fitness is important, right? DSA is a thing which does not happen in one day or 1 week or like I experienced in 1 month. You need to keep on solving problems. And unless you do that, unless you solve problems and you build your confidence in the subject, you are not going to do well in DSA interviews. So the way I think about DSA is that no matter when your interview is, you should always continuously be preparing DSA questions. You should be solving lead code questions on a daily basis. Let's say you come back home one day and you're bored, you have nothing to do. Just take one lead code problem, solve it. If you are not able to do it, just see the solution. And when I say lead code, if you don't know what it means, we are going to come to the resources part later. But one realization I have is that DSA interview is not like other interview. You have to keep on preparing for it. Only then you get the confidence. Otherwise, you will be scared on the actual day of the interview when you are about to do the live coding. Okay, so now we are going to come to poll number 2, and I'm just going to, you can again enter that poll, I think, the same link. And can you, so I'll not show the question on my screen right now, maybe, but I think I will need to click this next. So just a minute, I'll maybe stop sharing and let you guys first answer it. I'll click on next. So now can you check this link again? The question should be showing. So please answer based on what is shown on the screen. I am deliberately not sharing my screen here so that you won't see the correct answer this time. And I'm going to now, I will only share my screen after a considerable number of votes have been received over here. So 80 participants have answered, and this looks to be a tough thing from what I'm seeing on my result screen because there is like an equal split between order of 1, order of log n, and order of n. It's fine if you don't understand this question also. My aim here is not to explain this, but just to get an understanding. Shridat has shared this link uh, in the chat. So please go here and answer what you think might be correct. Now I'm going to end this and I'm going to share my screen right now. So let's see what different people have answered over here. Okay. Next, if I click, I will reveal the answer now. And the correct answer was actually order of 1. And you see there is a 30-30-30 split, which means 32 people got it right, but 29 plus 18 plus 8, 55 people have got this wrong, which means that so many people in this call need a very good understanding of DSA if you want to get through the interview rounds. So let us see the table again. So now you can see how many people have got 2 out of 2. Only 22 people have got all the correct answers now. So out of these 22 people, congrats guys, you can keep on answering the correct questions for the rest of the polls and others can improve in the meanwhile. Okay, so up till now in the presentation, what I wanted to stress upon is that the job market is a bit unfair, right? If you want to get into any of these rounds, DSA kind of stands as that guard which protects you from going to the next round. And you need to master it. And to master it, you need to keep on training. That is very important. If you understand this importance, then the next part which comes, you will be very attentive for this. So I hope I have motivated why you should learn DSA in the first place through my personal story as well. Now I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. And now Saurav will take over the next part. So regarding what is actually DSA. So maybe Saurav, you can introduce yourself and you can take over the next.
Yeah, sure. Is my voice clear?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So let me first share my screen. Okay. Okay. Those of who don't know about me, hi, my name is Saurabh Jana. I am a software developer at Bhizwara, and I have done 300 or 50 question on Leaderboard, and I use a different platform to learn data structures also, and I'm pretty good at it. So today I'll be take you forward what is DSA, then how to learn DSA, then the right path to find DSA. So let's start. So first, let's understand what is DSA actually is. When you work in a company, you will feel that you need different data for different needs. You can't rely on a single type of data type like array or string. So you need different data, like you need linked list, somewhere you need stack. So DSA basically helps us to understand where you need different data for different needs. Then the next thing is to organize and manage data. Think about a library, right? You are in library. Now, if you throw books here and there, then what would happen when you try to access those books? That will not be possible. That will not be easy to access, right? So that's what DSA tells us about that. That's what we learn about DSA from that. Then when we talk about algorithm, what is basically algorithm is? Algorithm is basically step-by-step instruction. So it's you think like it's a cookbook, right? So there are some instruction, and if you follow the instruction, you'll get the recipe, right? You'll get the food done. So DSA is like same thing. So it actually give us the instruction to our computer, then it does some calculation and give us the output that it does. Then what else we can do? Learning DSA, it will help us to learn what is the best approach. So for a particular problem, there might be many solutions. So by learning DSA, we'll realize what is best for me, what is not best for this scenario. That you can learn. So that is all about DSA. Now, let's see let's see the examples of such different data structures. Like let's take stack. So where stack is used. Now, if you carefully see any text editor, you will see the two buttons, right? Undo and redo. So when you put undo, so it will go back to the previous state. And if you do redo, then it will go back to the next step, right? These operations basically done using stack. Then some expression evaluation. So when we write some expression and you try to execute this in our programming, so what it does, it actually when he finds some calculation to do immediately, that actually store inside a stack. So this is basically the example of stack data structure where it is used. Now, when we talk about linked list, so everyone basically listen about any music player, right? You go, you will see that in the right hand side or in this side, you will see some list of players, right? List of song. Then you can organize them according to you. You can move to top, move to bottom. That was linked list does. So linked list basically helps us to organize data in any order, like in you can move. So basically insertion and deletion operation makes it easy for linked list. So to build this kind of architecture, we need linked list data type. Then take example of sortable list. So what sortable list does, you can basically drag and drop things and rearrange the order. So for this kind of operations also, we need linked list. Okay, now hope you understand what is the use of it. Now, if you talk about tree data structure, you already know our file management system, right? So how it stores the files. So it stores in hierarchical manner, like folder inside folder inside folder. That is basically a true example of tree data structure. Then when we talk about user interface, so whatever you see in this browser, this is basically itself is a DOM element, like it's a HTML element. So when we try to write a code, so the architecture of this DOM element itself is a tree data structure where the top of this is called root element, right? Then we have this head tag, body tag, title, like these things. So this is basically an example of tree data structure. And then next is graph. So you already use social media, right? You already use LinkedIn, Facebook. So in there, each of these people is connected to each other. Like you are connected with your friend, then your friend is connected with another friend, right? That's how graph basically does. And when you take example of map, so how map does, in implementing map, there we use graph data structure. Now let's understand how actually DSA helps us to tackle real world problem. We'll take two examples. We'll first see in the software development field how DSA helps us. Then we'll see in the ML and AI and data science field how DSA basically helps us, right? So first, look at software development field. Now, everyone has visited e-commerce website, right? When you visited any e-commerce website, you will see there is a search bar in the top of the website. Now, if you search for an item, you can directly put keywords and give enter, and list of item will be presented in front of you, right? Now, you may find that that is basically easy things, right? Then what is the use of DSA here? But that is not true. We use B tree and hash tables. So this, I'm not expecting you to understand this thing. Just forget about this. I'm just giving you the example. So to implement this, we use a data structure like B tree, then hash tables, and also we try to create indexes to easy access. Then we use try data structure for autocomplete. Like here you can see if one type any keyword, it will automatically suggest some items, right? So that is basically autocomplete facility. So try is used for this autocomplete facility. So try is basically a data structure. Then we use some algorithm like binary search for efficient lookup for faster access. Okay. Then prefix search. Let's say I want to search for an item that start with SA. So I'll put SA, then it will suggest all the items that is start with SA. So that is basically one type of search operation. Then there is like called fuzzy search. Fuzzy search basically what does? It actually matches with the equivalent elements. Like if I write, if you can observe carefully, SMNG, so that is the closest match would be Samsung. So it is suggesting some items like Samsung. So that is basically an example of how DSA basically needed in a simple search bar, right? Now, if you go to the next, the map, Google Map. Every one of you use Google Map, right? Now, in Google Map, uh, what it actually use when you navigate to some places, like if you want to search a place, so each place have some coordinates, like lat long coordinate, and each of these is represented by graph, node of a graph. So we use graph data structure to implement this Google Map. Now, to find the distance between point 1 to point B, let's say you want to uh, search for how much time it will take to go from this place to this place. So in that scenario, so algorithm like DSA algorithm and A star algorithm actually help us, right? Now let's take another example of, let's say you are a tenant, you are responsible to manage a warehouse. So warehouse is not a small thing, right? It's a big thing. So there are racks, there are shelves, and for each shelf, there are some barcode, unique codes are there. Now to access item easily and put some item, let's say you want to remove some 10 item from a particular rack. And if you want to put, let's say 100 item in another rack. Now it will be very messed up things, right? Now how to manage this? To manage this, we use some kind of data structure like hash map and tree data structure and some algorithm like sorting algorithm. Then we use dynamic programming to do that. So in video, you can see that there is an RF scanner. So when you scan some item, it will immediately just reflect in our software. So that it will immediately reflect how many items is removed from our this warehouse. So it can ease our work. Now let's take another example. Let's say you are a tenant, so you get some order. So huge number of order. Now let's say you want to schedule the delivery, right? You want to move the parcel. Then how to manage this, and what kind of data structure we need, and what are the algorithm we need here. Now the first thing is priority queue. So what you already know that in Amazon there are two kind of user, right? So even if you are a prime user or normal user. Now if you are a prime user, then delivery time of your package would be very less, so you get the most priority, right? So in that scenario, we use data structure like priority queues. Then to schedule delivery, let's say I want to get assign a driver to a particular location, and I want to assign them and want to deliver, let's say 10 packages to them. Now how to distribute this network, right? And how to manage this, how to schedule, what is the timing of this, that all calculation is basically used by graph data structure. Then also, yes, we use some algorithms like find nearest neighbor to assign drivers to a current position. So there are a lot of things happens in there. So this is basically one scenario. So I hope till now you already have enjoyed this. So if you understand this, you can write yes. I'll see the chat once. Okay, great. I can see some yes. Okay. Now, there is another thing I want to mention, caching mechanism. Like you can see some of the website, if you visit some website are very slow in rendering. And some website are very fast in rendering. Rendering means when you search for an item, so item will appear very, very fast. And slow means, let's say I want to render something. So video processing, like things. So that takes time, right? So that is called slow thing. Now to do the faster, for this, we actually use a caching mechanism to make our website faster. So what it does, basically when you search for an item in a website, it actually make a call in the database, and database send us the data. So this whole process takes some time. Now the cache actually helps us to reduce the API call, right? Database call. So I'm not expecting you to learn about all those things. So you will definitely know about all these things when you work. So I just want to give you the example, like how caching works. Now in caching, we use a data structure like hash map for faster data retrieval, then doubly linked list, then some algorithms like LRU, LFU, and MRU. So this basically used in caching mechanism. Now, this is about the software development field. Now, if you go to machine learning field, AI field, you will also get to know that here also data structure and algorithms are used. So you already have know about this deep learning library. That this is very popular libraries, TensorFlow and PyTorch library, right? So what they actually use, they use tensors, right, to operate between them. Now this tensor, what are these tensors basically? The tensors actually multi-dimensional array. So tensors are basically multi-dimensional array. And to represent, let's say, a batch of image, a 4D tensor is used where the dimension typically respond to the batch size, height, width, channel. So I mean to say, so data structure is everywhere. Like even it is a software development or it is in machine learning, it is everywhere. And here you will see the some algorithms like matrix manipulation or adding addition, element wise operation. This operation would be done here. Now if you consider about neural network, so in neural network what is there? So you have that input layer and output layer, and inside this two layer there are some hidden layer, right? So here, each of this neuron basically represent by a node of a graph. So that's why this neural network is kind of a graph data structure. Here, each node is connected with another node, and this is called directed graph. It is directed towards this node. So this graph data structure is used to implement this. Then that we have discussed, nodes are basically neurons and edges are basically weights. Then we do some algorithms like graph traversal, DFS, then BFS, like to explore nodes and edges. So this is one example. Then another example is could be text tokenization. This is another example in ML field. Now hash map is used to store and quick access the word embeddings here. And pride data structure is also used to prefix-based searching, prefix-based lookup. Then there is another example, let's say real-time processing, data processing. So when there is not static data available, like when you have some memory, you store some data. So that is called static data. But in real-time data processing, what happens? So you will get a stream of data. Now you have to do operation on this stream of data. So in real time. So in that time, this technique like sliding window technique basically helps us to understand and deal with this data. And priority queues also helps us to do it. You can't do this using simple array or stack methods. You have to use this priority queue or another data structure. Now let's go to our poll. And anyone can put next.
Yeah, I'll try that. Just 1 second.
Okay. Here's a question
I've
appearing in the
clicked on
screen.
next, Saurav.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Now it should be fine.
Yes, it is visible now.
Okay.
So there is a question in front of your screen. Please try to vote it. Please try to answer it quickly. I can see there are 25, 26 votes already. And please submit your answer. So the question is telling, in neural network, which data structure is commonly used to present and manage the connection between neurons and their weights? Let's see. Okay, there are still voting. There are 52 votes. So options are graph, array, stack, queue. We have already discussed this, right? So it is pretty easy, straightforward question. So there are 60 vote. Okay, I think now we can reveal the answer. Yes, many of you are correct. I can see. Yes, 78% are correct. That is basically graph data structure. Okay. Yeah, we can see the leaderboard here. There are almost, yeah, 14 people are correct. They actually, yeah, they have answered 3 correct answer. Okay. So you are enjoying this, right? If you don't understand anything, you can write in the comment. I'll answer those. Okay. If not, then you can put a thumbs up and we'll move forward. Okay. Now, let's discuss about, is DSA hard to learn? Yes. If you are a beginner, for beginner, it will be little bit hard. Why? The first reason could be the vast syllabus. The syllabus itself is very vast. Like you have to go through array, then stack, then something like string, then linked list. So you have to go through all this data structure. Then you have to solve, let's say, 30 to 40 problems for each of this topic. Then after this, you have to learn the algorithm separately, right? Like greedy, DP, searching, sorting. So this itself is very vast in nature. So if you are a beginner, you may find little discomfort, right? Then the next thing is logical thinking and problem solving. So what happens in DSA, each problem is different from each other. Like if you solve a problem today and tomorrow you'll find different problem. Now to solve this, you have to be logically very, very strong. So that's why beginner may find difficulty. Then implementation, difficulty in implementation. Let's say you have solved the problem, okay? You have think about the problem and you have solved in pen and paper. Now, when you try to code it in any code editor, you will get some syntax error, or you will forget about some inbuilt methods, or there are many reasons. So that also be a challenging part for beginners. Then the next thing is consistency. Let's say I have solved 100 problems in a previous month. Now, in this month, I have done some different work. I've done some development. I have just forget about this DSA. Then after 2 months, I started to learn DSA. Now, what will happen? I will lose the consistency. I'll forget some concept, and I'll not feel energetic to solve this, right? So that's why consistency is important. And those are the reasons that make us learn this DSA very hard. Now, let's see who can learn DSA. If you are from a tech background, like BTech, BE, then you can also learn DSA. And if you are not from tech background, if you are from non-tech background, let's say BA, BSc or BCom or any other things. I am myself from a non-tech background. I'm not from a technical B or BTech. I have done my graduation in physics, and then I have masters my MSc. I've done my MSc in electronics. So I'm not from a tech background, but still I can learn this, and still I am good at it. So if I can achieve, you also can do. Now, CS and non-CS. Non-CS, like if you are from civil background, electronic or electrical, any background like mechanical, then also you can learn things. So DSA is for everyone. Anyone can learn DSA. Now, let's see where to start from. Now, let's say I want to learn DSA. Now, the next thing comes to my mind is where to start from and how do I start? So if you try to start your journey, first you have to learn a programming language. You have to learn single programming language, and you have to learn some programming fundamentals. Like you have to learn, let's say, conditional statement, looping statement, how it works, then function, what are classes, objects, that you have to learn. That is the first step. So first you have to learn a programming language, then you have to learn a programming fundamentals. Then the next thing is you have to learn the basic data structure. Basic data structure means linear data structure. So start with array, then you can solve some problem on array, then you can go for string, then stack, queue, linked list, right? So first you have to go through basic data structure, not jump to tree or let's say graph or a try. So if you have to start with the basic data structure, then start with easy problems. Always start with easy problem. Let's say you are learning array, then go for how insertion, deletion, how to sort an array. So this type of basic operations you have to done. This is the third step. Then the fourth step, when you learn this thing, when you learn all the data structure, then you can solve any challenges, solve any problem, and you can go for challenges like daily challenges or weekly challenges. And then you will tell yourself as a expert in DSA. And that's how we can start your journey. I hope until now, you already have agreed with me, right? Okay. Now let's see what is next. Now here I have make a roadmap, like in topic wise, how you can move forward. If you are an absolute beginner, from where you can start. So the first thing is array. So I have followed the path. So that's how I can share with you. So if I am able to do that, so you can do also. So what I have start with, I have start with array data structure. So first you can learn starting with array. Then you can go to the second step will be string. You can learn string data structure and do some problems, basic problems on string, how to find sub-arrays, how to what is palindromic substring, like this. Then you can learn about hash tables. So hash tables in Python, it is basically set and dictionaries. So how hash table works and what are the benefits of using hash tables. Then after this, you can learn about some techniques like two-pointer techniques and sliding window technique. Then you will find what are the benefit of those. Why do we use this? And then you can go for, so step number 6 will be basic searching and sorting operation. So like bubble sorting, selection sort, insertion sort, that you can learn. So quick sort, merge sort, that will not be easy until this point because you need something like recursion, right? So that's why you can learn first basic searching and sorting operation, and searching for linear search, that you can learn. Then after that, point number 7 would be bit manipulation. So bit manipulation means how we can perform XOR operation and operation on data, right? That you can learn, and that is very, very important. Then you can move to stack data structure. What is the benefit of stack? How to implement stack? And then queue. So queue is also similar to stack, but what are the difference between queue and stack? Why do we use this data structure? Then after that, we can learn linked list. So why to use linked list? What are the links and what are the pointers in this linked list? And what are the benefits of learning linked list? Then these are the data structure, basic data structure. Then you can go for algorithm like recursion. So this is basically a important algorithm. And in the most of the things like tree, graph, you use this recursion. So that's why recursion is very, very important. Then after recursion, you will get an application of recursion that is called backtracking. So that is also very important. And you will find some problems like in-queen problems, Sudoku solver. those kind of problem you can solve using backtracking and rat in a maze, find distance, how many possible ways we can find. So those typical problem can be solved in backtracking. Then the next thing could be binary search. Now, here we have learned about basic searching, right? Then, so that was basically linear search. Now you can learn about what is binary search, what are the advantages, why do we need that, and what are the time complexity for this algorithm, right? That you can learn. Then the next thing you could learn is called greedy approach. So there are two things, DP, dynamic programming, and greedy. Now you can learn what are the difference between them, why do we need greedy, and why do we need dynamic programming, what it actually solves. So that actually you can start with. Then after that, at point number 6, you'll learn binary trees. You can start learning trees data structure. And then you can learn about binary search tree. And after that, the last thing could be graph. And there are more data structure. So, but for interview perspective, if you learn till graph, then it is more than enough. Then after learning this, the next thing is to practice more problem. Go to do some contest and participate in the contest, do weekly challenges and solve problems. So that is basically the roadmap that I followed. So you can also follow this topic-wise roadmap also. So I hope now, until now, you have understood. If you have any doubt, you can ask me in the chat. If not, I can move forward. Okay, I'm not getting any response. Okay. Here's a big thumbs up for Nitya, right? Okay. Okay, we can move forward. Now, the question, the next question coming to our mind is how much to learn to crack an interview in like FANG or any kind of in startup or any product-based company, right? How much to learn to crack this interview? You have to learn the basic data structure. Then it is more than enough. The basic data structure like stack, queue, linked list, tree, and graph. These are the basic data structure, right? So if you are good at this, you can crack any of the coding interview. But you must have to solve, let's say, 50 problems for each data structure. Then I'm not telling about the algorithm, right? So there are many algorithms you can apply on this data structure. I'm just telling about the data structure, what is used, main core data structure. Then let's time for a poll. It's okay. Now let's see our next question. Now, okay. Now try to answer this. So I can see there are two votes. So imagine you are developing a scheduling system. So scheduling system means like a meeting. It's like in Google Map, what you have done, you schedule a meeting, right? So that's kind of thing. So imagine you are developing a schedule system for a conference where you need to allocate meeting rooms to sessions such that no two sessions overlap in the same room. Now, how do you approach this problem? So this is basically an algorithm. This is basically a typical problem statement that we get in our data structure, right? So I can see there are 49 votes. Let's say 50 votes, 52. Guys, split vote. Please answer this. I can see there are 57 votes. 58. 60. Okay. Now I think now we can reveal the answer. Let's see. Okay. Yes, many of you are correct, but I can see there are 47% are telling about greedy algorithm. That is true. But 27% are telling about dynamic programming. So those who are telling greedy, I know you already know this algorithm, right? Yes. Okay. Now let's go back to our next part. Now let's see, I want to start learning DSA. Now, what are the resources? What are the platform should I follow? So there are some free resources available. The first thing is HackerRank. You can use HackerRank. If you are an absolute beginner, you definitely can use HackerRank to do this. So in HackerRank, first let's click this. There is a section called data structure. Here you will find some problems. Like here you can see the problems on array, then 2D array, then dynamic array. So similar to that, you will find problems on tree data structure, then binary search problem, right? From here, you can practice. So to solve this, what you have to do, you have to just click in the solve challenge, and then you have to choose your language, in which language you want to solve. Then you can start solving there. So here you will see, here is the problem description here. Here is the problem defined. Now, in the right-hand side, there is a code editor where you can write the code. So if you are a beginner, you can refer this to learn. Now, in the right-hand side, you can see there are some filter options, right? By difficulty, you can filter those problems. Let's say if I choose easy, so some easy level problem will be sorted out. So if you are a beginner, you can start with the easy problem. Let's say I am know about DSA. I'm little good about DSA. Now let's say I choose hard problem. Now I can select hard here, then I can solve problems here. Then we can choose topic wise, like I want to solve some question on array. Then I can choose array here, or I can let's say I choose tree. Then the hard question on tree will be appear. So that's how you can use this platform, and this is completely free. Then now, if you try to understand about algorithm and practice about algorithm, then also you can use this HackerRank. Then similarly for data structure here, sorry, there is data structure section, right? Now for algorithms also, there is algorithm section in HackerRank. Now similarly, there are some problem. You can choose your difficulty level. Then you can solve this problem by just clicking this solve challenge. Okay. Now there are other platforms also available. The best is Geeks. So that is basically very helpful for beginners. If you are a beginner, if you don't know anything and you want to also build the concept in data structure, then you can definitely find this website. So if I go to this website, this is basically the practice problem. So here you can select the problems asked in different companies like Amazon. If you click this, so the problems asked in the Amazon will be displayed. Then you can search for Microsoft, Google. You can see, right? Paytm, Walmart. And also you can filter like for any topic. Let's say I want to solve problems on array. Then I can choose difficulty level, like which I want to solve, easy, medium, hard, or moderate. Okay. And also, if you want to learn about data structure concept, then also you can follow this tutorials. So here is a tutorial section, then you can follow this. So this is basically for absolute beginners. Now, there is another thing is Leaderboard, and most of them who are learning DSA basically follows this Leaderboard things. So what is this? This is basically useful for solve problems, and most of the problem here asked in the interviews like Amazon, Google, okay, all FANG based companies are used. Now if you go to Leaderboard, you will see here the problems. So you can see here the problem section. If you click here, you will see some problems. Let's say there are array data structure. I can choose array from here. Okay, then you can see this problems, those many problems on array. I can solve some problem. I can choose the difficulty from here. That's how I can solve by one. Now let's say I want to solve a problem called two sum problem. Let's say, then we have to click here. And then in the left hand side, you will get the problem description. And in the right hand side, you will get the code editor. Now you can change the language here. Let's say I want to code in Java. Now this will appear. Now you have to write the code here. First, you have to write the description and you have to plan for the what will be the possible answer. Then you can write it here. That's how we can do it. And then you can test your code here by running the code. I'm not logging it, so it is not appearing. Once you log in here, it will reveal the like to submit or to run. Now in Leaderboard, I want to mention one thing. If you also learn about this DSA things, so that is basically in Leaderboard, that is not paid. Sorry, that is not free. That is basically paid. Now, if you try to get a course here, you can see there are some course for learning data structures and algorithm system design. You can learn from here, but that is not a free course. So you can reveal, like if you go for a paid course, you can go there. But this is the best resources that you can use. So this is how we can use this platform. So these are basically absolutely free. And the best resource is Leaderboard that you can follow. And once you learn decent amount of DSA, then you can use this Leaderboard. I also use this Leaderboard. Then the next thing. Now the question is, you seen that there are 3 levels, right? Easy, medium, and hard question. Now, what could be the ratio? If you just solve easy level question, let's say I solve 500 easy level question, will that benefit me? No, definitely not. There could be a good ratio between them, between easy, medium, and hard question. And what will be that? So the rule is 30, 50, and 20. Let's say I want to solve 100 problems. Then I can solve 30 easy level problem, then 50 medium level problem, and 20 hard level problem. So that is not the hard and fast rule, but people have noticed that in this pattern, you will get the maximum benefit. Because in the most of the interview question, they only ask from this medium level question. And what are the difference between easy, medium, and hard level question? So easy level question, in easy level question, you will find one step or two step. In single step or two step, you will solve the problem. Now, medium level problem has maybe has 2 or 3 steps to solve the problem. And for hard level question, there might be 3 or 4 level. So that's how basically hardness of the problem is decided. And this is the golden ratio that you can follow. So this is basically 30, 20, and 50. Now, there are some things to remember during an interview. What are things? So the coding in any code evaluator or any coding platform, let's say I want to go for this Leaderboard. And one thing I also mentioned, I have not mentioned, like in HackerRank, when you solve the problem, not HackerRank, actually it Geek for Geeks. Okay. Okay, I'm not logging here. So what you will find a timer here. You can start the timer while you solve the problem. For easy level problem, so there are basically, it will take around 15 to 20 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes for easy level problem. By time restriction, you can practice those problems. And for medium level problems, we take around 20 to 25 minutes problem. And for hard level problem, it will take around 35 to 45 minutes of problem. So while you are practicing this problem in this coding platform, you can start a timer and you can test your knowledge based on that. So what it will help when you going for an interview and when there is live interviewer in front of you, then it will be easy for you. Like there are difference between doing code in code evaluator or doing code in live coding interview. There are some challenges you may face in live coding interview. So let's say how to tackle this. Let's say normally a DSA coding interview is last around 1 hour. And here you may ask a problem, let's say easy level problem, and they may take you 10 minutes of time to give you the confidence, right? Then there could be one problem on medium level problem, then one could be hard level problem. Let's say medium level problem takes 20 minutes of time, and then hard level problems take 30 to 30 minutes of time. Or he can ask about two medium level problems. In spite of one hard level problem, he can ask about one medium level problem. Now, how to prepare with that? What things you have to remember while during your live coding interview? The first thing is, when you approach a problem, first first approach with a brute force approach, the native approach that you have to focus on. And why do you need that? Basically, interview want to know that you actually understand the problem or you just memorize the problem, right? That's why brute force solution is very, very helpful to discuss. And then the next thing is, when you go to the when you come to brute force approach, then you can go for the optimization. First thing, you have to go for the native approach, then you have to go to the optimization, right? Then the communication. What you have to do when you let's say I ask you a coding interview question, right? Now, when you think about the problem, let interview understand what you are thinking, how your thinking process is going on. That is very, very important, so that interview can learn and know what you are thinking and what is your thought process. That is very, very important. So communicate properly. Whatever you are doing, you are thinking about, maybe this approach could solve this, or maybe this could solve this, maybe that's how I can do this, that's how I can do this. That has to be communicated properly. That is the key point. And while you are coding, while you are writing in code editor, then also communicate properly, right? Then the next thing is time. You have to stay within the time. Time is very, very important. So when you solve any problem, you have to remember the time. Let's say it's an easy level problem and you spend 20 to 25 minutes solving this problem. That would be not great. You have to utilize the time. You have to know which problem should, how much time I should give to which problem. So that's why while practicing those problems, you have to start and clock, and you have to think that how much time is taken to solve this medium level question or this hard level question. That you have to practice from beginning. So that is about my part. So now I'll hand over to Raj. So Raj will discuss more.
Yeah. Okay. So I hope everyone can hear me. I just want to conclude the part by telling or summarizing some things which many people have asked in the chat, and that is how to transition to ML roles really, and how much part does DSA play. Many people are also asking about ML engineer and ML researcher roles. So if you ask me honestly, I would say that actually when you get to work as an ML engineer in a company, how much of DSA knowledge you actually need to solve the day-to-day problems, I would say not too much. Because let's say you face a problem, you can search about it, you can get better on the job. So there is no real time restrictions also in real life. But the main issue is that to get that role in the first place, you need to solve two medium level problems in 45 minutes. And that is very scary. So in my meta interview, when someone is sitting in front of you live and you have to code two medium level problems in 45 minutes, you cannot do it without practice. It's almost impossible to do this thing without practice, because it's like almost giving an exam, but now someone is watching what you're writing. One thing which also helped me is doing mock rounds with people. So that also helps you put a timer and do mock rounds with people to test how you are performing under pressure. So that also plays a very important role. And then I want to share some resources here with all of you. So if you have not attended the previous webinar, which was related to the ML transition, you will, if you're preparing for DSA roles, you will need to supplement your DSA preparation with ML preparation as well. So here I have shared this link earlier also, but what you can actually do is go over to this link, and if you don't know anything about ML, let's say, and if you want to transition to an ML role from any field, I would suggest to start with these initial two playlists. So the first one is Machine Learning Teach by Doing. So we ourselves have recorded 37 lectures in this series. This is following what we learned at MIT. So this is the machine learning series, and this is the neural networks from scratch series. If you go through these series, then both these series, you will get a very good detailed understanding of machine learning. And I'm sure you will be able to answer interview questions and any question which they ask you related to ML and DL. And simultaneously, Saurav has mentioned the roadmap to you, right? So many people are also asking how much time to dedicate, how many problems to solve. So one thing which I would like to say is that if you want to get started, there are this list of 75 questions, which is called blind 75. Almost everyone knows about these questions. So the first stage is to do all of these questions and be better at this. Be able to, if anyone gives you any question in this list, you should be able to know which pattern it belongs to, which data structure the question belongs to. Sometimes that is also difficult. So for example, this, if someone gives you this longest consecutive sequence, identifying that it is a graph problem, that itself is difficult, and that will need practice. So if you are able to do that, I would say you've already crossed the first barrier of learning DSA, and that is to solve these 75 questions. Now, someone was also asking in the chat, what should I do after this? I would say after this, it's all a game about practice. So if you manage to find time during the weekends, first you do these 75 questions. And even to do these questions, there is a way which I've learned to do this, and that is very important. Do not see the solution first. Try to think of the simplest explanation or the simplest solution which you can write, and try to do it as much as possible. Then what you can do is, then you can see the solutions. So they have mentioned the solutions. You can see the top solutions for every question. So the way you can do it is, you can see how many views the questions have got. So see, this has got 79K views, and you can then see the solution here. I would highly recommend you to go through the solutions, because people are so creative and you can see the top 2 to 3 solutions. But then here is where many people make the mistake. They see the solution and they think they have understood it. No, then close the tab again and then write the code yourself once more. That is when you will truly test your understanding. And you initially might feel that, you might feel like, oh, I'm not getting anything. How come people are recommending so many good problems? I cannot even think of or solutions. I cannot even think of one simple solution. And that usually happens. You get this existential kind of a crisis when you start solving these problems. But I think you get better at it. You start finding patterns. That's the good thing about DSA. The reason people get better is they do more questions and they start finding patterns. Once you start finding patterns like, oh, this question looks like that earlier question I've seen, then you are in a good shape. Then it means that you are actually learning. So that is one thing. And another last thing I wanted to share is regarding the scientific machine learning bootcamp. So many people here have asked, how can they switch to ML from their own field, right? So you can just check out this link. This is basically to combine machine learning with your own field. If your field is physics, if your field is mechanical engineering, any field which you belong to, and if you want to convert or if you want to switch to ML by doing projects which mix your field and ML, like let's say if you want to mix physics with machine learning, here is a project which combines physics and ML. This will get you to the interview stage. The DSA comes after, but first you need to get interviews, right? So you need to have projects which separate you from the rest. And doing Kaggle toy projects is not enough. You need to augment your resume with some cool projects, and scientific machine learning can be a good pathway for that. So I'll stop sharing my screen here, and maybe we can take some questions or doubts. Okay, so Sunil has asked, is DSA in Python enough for interview? So what they actually do, Sunil, is that, let me share my screen again. At least this is what happened with me. Maybe Saurav can confirm if that is true. So what happened in my Facebook interview is that they give you an editor like this. So let's say if you want to, let me take any problem, for example. So I'm randomly choosing this problem. So what every company does is that they give an editor to you like this, and you have to choose the coding language. And usually the editor which they give will have all coding languages. So what I suggest is that you start practicing with the language which you are comfortable with. And for most people, that is either Java or Python. If you are comfortable with C or C++, that's amazing. But many people are not too comfortable with C or C++. So you can start with the language which you are most comfortable with. They are language agnostic, which means that whatever language you code in, if you get the correct solution, that's all which is required. No one is going to reject you because you did not code in another language, let's say. So I would say that is going to be very important in the language itself. So when you practice using lead code, please make sure to stick with the same language. Don't jump between languages. That will be very confusing, and then you will also be confused towards the end, like what language to code in. Then Viraj has asked any tips for system design preparation. So actually there is one link which we had also shared in the chat. There is one great link for system design preparation, which I think by far is the best compilation. So Shridath has also shared one link. I'll open both these links. So try to take a look at this link, awesome system design, and the preparation material. So in ML engineer question, there is usually a round on system design. So let's take an example of Twitter. The question could be, how is the Twitter timeline designed? What aspects will you take into consideration? So take a look at this link. I believe we have also shared it in the chat. Let me share it right now once more. Take a look at this link right now. It's an awesome link. You can see from the number of stars and from the number of forks. What they have in this link is system design interview questions, concepts you should know. But Viraj, one thing I'll recommend is that you can test out for yourself. So just take a company, take Zomato, for example, take Uber, take Lyft, take any company and try to think for yourself, how is this feature implemented? What all considerations you will take into account, and then you should try to relay that to someone else and check their reaction. So in my understanding, the more points you can convey, right? Oh, this may also be a problem, so I will work on this. This might also be a problem, so this is how I will work on this. This year system design primer is a good way to start understanding the questions which they might ask. But at the end, for system design, I think it comes down to creativity. So they want to know what feature you would want to implement and how the system may fail. This is usually the third or fourth round of interview at top companies. So you'll start with the DSA round, you'll go into the ML basics. Then they may have an ML coding round, which might require you to solve, let's say, uh, a pre-filled code and see what's the problem. Is this overfitted? Is this underfitted? Then you might have a system design. This is where, so when you reach the system design round, they know that you know the ML basics. They know you have cleared the DSA. So you are pretty good. Now they want to test whether you can think from the company standpoint, and whether you will be able to take creative decisions. So Vivek has, Saurav, you want to, yeah.
Also, guys, one thing I want to mention. So most of you are asking about which programming language should you learn to start with DSA. So what happens, you start with one language, right? Then when you go to company, they use, let's say, different language. So let's say you learn Java. Now the company requests Golang. Now what should you do? Now they expect you to do some problems on Golang. Now what do you think? How should you do? So language is not a barrier. The basic thing is to how to solve a problem. That is how to create the mindset. That is not the problem. So language is basically the syntax. So even if you ask me about this, so I'll say you can go for Python, because that is very, very easy problem and basic easy language, and that implementation is very, very fast. So what happens in language like Java, so that the syntax are very weak, because I can tell you, because I have done DSA in Java also, in Python and in Java also. So it takes some time while you code it, and there are not some inbuilt data structures. So in Python, so you can write the same problem with less amount of code, and you can think and utilize the time itself. So I think you can go with Python here, and also you can do some things like Django or Flash framework. So that how Python basically helps us. But if you go for competitive programming, CP, then I would suggest you can go with C++, because there are some advantages, because that are basically very, very fast C++. So that's what I want to clarify.
Saurav, can you also talk a bit about competitive programming? So I had faced this issue that I was a bit insecure about this, that I was not a competitive programmer at all before. So that was like I was finding it difficult during my study preparation. How did you deal with that aspect regarding?
Okay, competitive programming is different. It's like a sport. So if you want to be proficient in that field, so then you can go for competitive programming. So then you can uh, do how you are different from others, that you can put. But nowadays, so CP is not that much important, what I feel. So if you good at DSA, if you take some time to solve this, I think that is good. So if you ask me about is CP is necessary to getting job, I would say no. CP is not necessary. CP is different. It's like a sport. It's like a competition.
Okay. Yeah, I also understood that afterward, that I just need to be good at, and one good thing is that the 75 questions which I had solved on lead code, the first round, the question which I got was exactly from those 75.
Yeah.
So then I thought if I would have solved more questions, it's just that I did not have enough practice. Okay, let's see any other questions if we have missed in the chat.
You can take a screenshot at the end.
Okay. Maybe one question more, I think, because we have covered everything in the chat. So Vivek has asked a question: how is industry's view on operations research background in ML? They are pretty similar, but how they look at it. So operations research is actually a bit different than ML itself. The underlying similarity is optimization. So in operations research, you spend a lot of time on optimization, and that is the core of several machine learning things. So in that sense, people who do OR are considered to be experts in optimization. That is one advantage which you have in interviews. Because in my experience also, ML is nothing but optimization. If you understand optimization well, you can technically be a very good ML engineer. But still, the main thing is DSA, Vivek. So the problem is that I'm sure with the OR experience, you can crack the ML round. But if they ask you questions for bubble sorting, let's say, or heap sort, what are the similarities and differences between those? I know that's completely unrelated to the main job you're interviewing for, right? But you won't get to the next round itself. Then there is a question, could you also do a webinar like this on cyber security? Yeah, we plan to do on cyber security and quantum machine learning also. Maybe one last question I can answer is, can you share how you gained experience in DSA journey? Maybe Saurav is better to share this actually, because he comes from physics background.
So what I have done, so I actually during my graduation, I actually learn about C programming, but very basic, very little. Then while I was in masters, doing masters, then I learned some Python language, right? So I've done some work on Python. Then I was actually planning for something else. I not actually planning for this software development. I was actually planning for to be a professor, so to be a PhD in physics. But something clicked in my mind, so I just feel interested in this language in Python. Then after onward, I just uh, learn about web development, then learn different languages like Java, JavaScript. So that is the basically the that's how my journey begins with this. And then I thought that I'll not go in this direction, rather I'll move to this direction in software development. So that's how I moved to this direction.
Okay. Okay, then everyone, as the last thing, can we take a screenshot? So if you can just switch on your video camera and then do some thumbs up action or something. We can take a screenshot because it's been a very interactive session with all of you guys. So we'll also share this screenshot with you through email when we share the recording of the session. I will take the screenshot maybe. Can you just guys do this kind of pose? Let me quickly take the screenshot. Okay. Okay. Thanks guys.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Thanks everyone. We will be conducting many such webinars. 2 webinars we have planned every month. We'll be sharing the recording with all of you. It was really great interacting with you all guys.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you everyone. Take care.
Thank you,
Thanks
Rajat.
Saurav. You did a great job. Saurav
Thank
will
you, Raj. Thank you. Siddharth,
Yeah.
thank you. Rajat.
see you. Okay,
Yeah.
bye.